Hello and welcome back. This is the American Senate Privationist. Today I have a question for the Dimond brothers in regard to their position on the baptism of desire. Now, before I ask this question, it is important that I state their position without distortion, and what the baptism of desire is without distortion. The baptism of desire is the perfect act of contrition or charity for the unbaptized. The perfect act of contrition or charity puts the unbaptized in the state of grace. Therefore, if they die in this state, they will be saved. It is commonly abbreviated as BOD, baptism of desire. The position of the Dimond brothers is as follows. There can be no salvation without the sacrament of water baptism. No exceptions. The doctrine of the baptism of desire allows for the unbaptized to be saved. Therefore, it is heretical. Now that I've presented their position, time for the question. Dimond brothers, if the baptism of desire is heretical, where and when has the authority of the Church explicitly condemned the baptism of desire as heretical? Sure, there is a book of the brothers quoting magisterial statements one after the other, trying to prove their position. However, these quotations lack the official interpretation of the Church. If these quotations did have the official interpretation of the Church, it should be easy to point to any authoritative teacher in the Church to show that the Church has used such quotations to condemn the baptism of desire. Where are the bishops that condemn the baptism of desire? Perhaps even a Holy Office declaration condemning this doctrine. Is there at least one theologian that explicitly condemns the baptism of desire? Do any of these priests, bishops, or theologians before Feeney teach in unison this condemnation? Now, let's take the Council of Trent, for example. The Dimond brothers constantly use this council to show that the Church has condemned the baptism of desire. Instead of confirming this interpretation that Trent condemns the baptism of desire, multiple theologians use Trent to show that the Church teaches. Yes, that's right. The Church teaches the baptism of desire. Among these theologians, St. Alphonsus, doctor of the Church, he is chief amongst them. Of course, theologians are not infallible individually, but surely it is against right reason to say that such a multitude of theologians, especially a doctor of the Church, can be so drastically wrong on the teachings of an ecumenical council. Even the official Catechism of Trent, ordered by that council, teaches BOD. The Dimonds will answer that such a catechism is fallible, but I argue that fallibility doesn't matter with the catechism. It demonstrates that the council does not condemn BOD. If it did, how could the official catechism of the Church teach an error it infallibly condemned? That leaves us with an argument from absurdity against this position of the Dimond brothers. This authoritative catechism, ordered by an ecumenical council for the Roman Church, teaches solemnly condemned heresy of said ecumenical council. Finally, the authority of Pope Pius XII confirmed an interpretation of Trent that such a council teaches the baptism of desire by officially publishing Suprema Hoc Sacra, the Holy Office letter against Feeney. The letter was published in 1952 in various well-known Catholic references with imprimatur, including the Canon Law Digest, the Church Teaches, the Catholic Mind, and the American Ecclesiastical Review. Holy Office letter Suprema Hoc Sacra. Quote, in his infinite mercy, God has willed that the effects necessary for the one to be saved of those helps to salvation which are directed towards man's final end not by intrinsic necessity, but only by divine institution, can also be obtained in certain circumstances when those helps are used only in desire and longing. This we see clearly stated in the Sacred Council of Trent, both in reference to the sacrament of regeneration and in reference to the sacrament of penance. Denzinger, 797 and 807. But it must not be thought that any kind of desire of entering the church suffices that one may be saved. It is necessary that the desire by which one is related to the church be united by perfect charity. Nor can an implicit desire produce its effect unless a person has supernatural faith. For he who comes to God must believe that God exists and is a rewarder of those who seek him. Hebrews 11:6. The Council of Trent declares, Session 6, Chapter 8, faith is the beginning of man's salvation, the foundation and root of all justification, without which it is impossible to please God and attain to the fellowship of his children. Denzinger, 801. End quote. Well, thank you today. Hopefully you've learned a little bit about the issue of Fenianism and why it is condemned by the church, or how it is condemned by the church. Principally, we see with the excommunication of a certain Father Feeney. I have more videos on this subject, multiple sermons from good Catholic clergy. I will link them in the link below. And, well, God bless you. Thank you.